this second story that we have today, I'm going to give you some quick disclaimer, quick disclosure, full disclosure. This story is a story of a person that's going to be completely anonymous for those of you that followed Antipi. In fact, he might actually end up seeing this story, which I am fine with. So full disclosure, I'm not mentioning names. I paraphrased quite a bit. I'm going to read it to you, then we're going to analyze it together. Okay? I'm going to read it to you, and then we're going to analyze it together. Let me just make sure that you can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Just say loud and clear. I'm looking on YouTube right now. Just say loud and clear. I think it should be fine. Okay, yeah, it's fine. All right, good. So this story right here, I'm going to read it to you. We're going to go through it together. The story is abroad wife kicked me out. Kicked. English is my, somebody says seventh language. Kicked me out of my own house. Colluded with Canada system. Okay. This person's my brother because out of due respect, I don't want to engage another person without being, on a personal level. But he's put this out in public domain. I asked Auntie B, give me the permission to use this. We're going to use it. I'm not mentioning names. It's purely anonymous. Okay. So we're going to talk about this story. I'm going to read it to you. Thank you. Allah Tuji, you can hear me. That's awesome. All right. So I'm going to read it and then I'm going to analyze it. Hopefully we can round up in time. Okay. But this is a very, very important story that I think there are a lot of lessons. There are lessons around parenting, lessons around marriage, relationships, right? Emotional intelligence, of course. So, and I feel like, I resisted the urge, but I was like, no, we have to talk about this. We have to talk about this right here. Okay. So for those of you that are brand new here, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Okay. We just crossed the 2100 mark. We are growing together. We're talking about emotional intelligence. We're not just covering this topic for random sake. I want you to take this back to your relationship, and then learn how to apply them. Okay. I want you to process what I'm saying and then take it back to your relationship. Maybe hopefully you're enlightened, right? So let's go through this. I'm going to read it out to you, and then we'll analyze it step by step together, if you will. Let's see. All right, I'm going to make it bigger, and then we can read it together. Okay, there you go. All right, so abroad wife kicked me out of my own house, colluded with Canada system. When it's family matters, it's like the government chooses sides. When your wife calls the authority, they don't investigate, they charge you and put you into the system. This can push people to a limit where they question, what am I living for? It's a business, but these are people's lives. My wife calls the police on me, and for the last 9 months, I've stayed in my aunt's house and not my own house. 13 years old son who is going in the wrong path. Most black kids, okay, so they asked him a question. Said, wow, okay, he has a 13-year-old son who is going in the wrong path. Most black kids in Canada are lost. A lot of black kids are in prison with the justice system. If you're not careful, you will lose your kids into the system. My wife is African American and half Canadian, so she doesn't understand my parenting style. It seems like my son is getting caught up in the computer. As soon as after school, he stays on it from 3 p.m. after school till 5 a.m. the following day, playing games with people we don't know. Can you guys hear me? Let me just check in, because again, the studio is acting up right now, so I can only check in. All right. You guys can still hear me, right? Yeah, so I think the son is now, when it happened, it was 13 years old. When this event happened, he was 13 years old. But the son is now 14. Yeah, I think we'll get to that point later. I'm not sure if remember I said I'm loosely paraphrasing too, right? So it seems like my son is getting caught up in the computer. As soon as after school, he stays on it from 3 p.m. after school till 5 a.m. the following day, playing games with people we don't know. He's very intelligent, good with coding. Coding means computer programming. But I want him to use that talent into something else. When I tell him to clean his room, he sees it as me being hostile to him. And because the mother grew up in this environment, she doesn't believe in talking to my son the way I know. So sometimes when I talk to my son, he will talk back. When I ask him, who are you talking to? My wife will say he has the right to talk. And then I answer, I am not saying he doesn't have the right to talk, but he shouldn't be talking back with an attitude. I'm still paying the bills of this house. You don't have a... Okay, so this was literally how he stopped. He was trying to say something. So that day, the boy just told me that, you watch if I will not buy you. So I said, what do you want to buy? That means off him, okay? Off him, his life. He punched me and the mother rushed there and they both attacked me. When the police came, I'm the one that was charged. They charged me with assault weapons when I don't have a weapon. Okay, that's crazy, right? I help my wife sometimes if she wants to buy a car. One of our family members bought a brand new Toyota RAV4. Since that day, problems started because she wants the same car. So I said, you have a 2015 car that we bought with $45,000. Money that I lent you and you haven't even paid that off. I refused to pay for a new car and she started calling me names. What kind of husband am I? And the sorts. She has a job. In my driveway, there are like 4 cars and I don't need all that. I want to do real estate. I want to be like the Indians and make money. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. So I said I can't help her and problems started. Here's another allegation. She said I had been threatening her since 2007 when we got married and 2008 when we had this boy. Because of this matter with my son, when I went to Nigeria, I discovered that she went to appraise the house in order to discover the value of the house. Since then, she said she wants a divorce so that she can get half of the house. She's now telling the police that I threatened her. I'm going to buy her. I'm going to offer her. That's what she's saying, right? And body harm her for the past 14 years. Okay. But my own is, if this is so-called advanced country has... my own is, if this so-called advanced country has common sense, why can't they investigate? We just came back from Costco on the day of this incident. Costco is a store. It's a superstore. Superstore. Tontin. You get it. And she was the one driving. We lived in the same house. How can I threaten her? In 2021, I was in Nigeria for 6 months. She doesn't care that I simply want to raise our boy. This boy called the vice principal of his school a bitch in a letter. He's a well-articulated and smart boy. I still have the copy of the letter. In Canada, they don't investigate at all. I've been here for 26 years. Even I work with the government. This Canadian system is an evil system. It was built just to make money. You go to the court and they will charge you with 14 offenses and they want to do the case in 30 minutes and just go. I do have a lawyer and they are all the same. Canadian lawyers are the worst lawyers to have. Yes, the Jewish lawyers are good, but at the same time, a lot of people don't want to practice criminal law in Canada anymore. They said it's not worth it. It's a planned system and they've already made up their mind. Without evidence or going into the details of the case, they are not looking for the truth. With the Canadian system, the prosecutor is not looking for justice. He's looking for his own desire to make good on the paper, like I do my job. They just want to give you a plea deal. If you go to trial and lose the case, you go to prison. This is what especially happens to a lot of black kids. They take a plea deal. I know one Nigerian family, someone called the police on the son that he had a gun and he never had a gun. The lawyer told the stupid boy to plead guilty and the boy took a plea deal. And a year later, his friend was caught with a gun and they now said he is the one that gave him a gun, which is a lie. The boy is still in prison till now. These kids believe you are stupid Once you come from Africa, they believe they know better. These kids will say, Dad is from Africa. They don't see themselves as from Africa. The same prosecutor that's fighting for them at 14 years old is the same prosecutor that will send him to jail. The prosecutors here make a $280,000 salary per year. Why do you think they will care about other people's lives? They don't have love for black boys and they don't know them. Because she said she's scared for her life, they arrested me, that's the wife. Because she said she's scared for her life, they arrested me and took me to the station. Even though they were supposed to release me, my wife said she's so scared to come back home and she has never seen me in this position. She's scared for her life. The detective told her, as written in the statement, don't worry, I'm going to do something that he will never come home again. They came back and put another charge on me and they had to put me in prison for 2 days. And the court had to decide if they will release me. They want to play me. They think I am stupid. My lawyer told me to plead guilty. So it seems the lawyer is siding with the prosecutor. I am very smart. I've worked with the government and I have read a lot of stuff. I fired the lawyer. My son told me he's going to off me. And you as a lawyer are telling me he's not going to do it. Is it not last week that a 6-year-old boy took a gun to school and shot his teacher in the face in Virginia? Kids don't understand it. How come foreigners come here and head the whole organization, and you who was born here are working at Burger King? They get caught up with the fact that they can work at McDonald's and buy Jordans as teenagers. And when you tell them there is something better, they don't want to listen. They just want the shiny stuff. The mother is half Canadian, half American. They don't see anything wrong in their family. They have people who went to jail in their family and they are used to blaming the white man. In actuality, they are helping the white man. In this system, they don't care. The kids don't understand that the government doesn't want them to succeed. I have 2 kids with her, but they've put a restraining order and I can't see them. They still live in my own house, still paying the mortgage and property taxes. Even though she's scared for her life, she's still living there and not paying anything. If I didn't have a heart, this can push people to do things they don't want to do. Remember, this story was a response to somebody that, husband and wife, they off themselves, right? The story of the Iwuchuku. Exactly. So, men get assaulted too. If I show you my left hand here, you will see marks all over it. When I'm walking away and don't want to argue, she pulls me and she has left nail marks on me. At this point, Auntie B stopped it and said, basically wanted to move on with the show. But towards the end of the show, he came back. He came back because he had been reading the charts and people had a lot to say. By the way, if you're listening to this, again, I will apply as much empathy as I can. But without, I don't want to do that at the expense of not extracting the lessons as usual. We need to extract lessons here. Let me continue what he said when he came back. He said, I want to clarify, someone who doesn't live in Canada is assuming I don't live in Canada, but I see a lot in this lessons, in this story, okay? Someone who doesn't live in Canada is assuming that I did something bad, okay? I promise you, I think you're a good guy. You probably didn't mean to do anything bad, even if you did. But anyway, the Canadian system doesn't have to have any evidence against you. It is a money-making system, and that's why they have a police and court system running. It's repeating the same points. Okay. If you allege that I threatened you, go and look at Canadian law and see what threatening means. Even verbal threat with no evidence. People were saying my demeanor when the police came. The police guy that came is a mixed guy. He told me, sir, I understand my dad is Jamaican. Do you have a place to go? I am not going to arrest you. The other guy that came is of Jamaican descent too, which is black. He said, because the boy has a bruise, I didn't touch this boy. The mother shielded him against the wall and the boy along with her was beating me up. I called my wife and asked, you're going to fight me? The justice system also makes you the villain. That's paraphrasing, a lot of paraphrasing, just so you know, okay? But it's anonymous anyway, okay? The justice system also makes you the villain for being a big guy with muscles. Men get abused all the time. Go and look at Johnny Depp's case. I am not a woman abuser. I came from a humble home. I never put my hands on my family or anything. When we have a kid who is going through the wrong path, why should people give excuses? So even if my son can abuse me, is it okay for my son to be going to school to call the teacher names, daring the vice principal, and threatening to do something if they don't take them out of school? At this point, Auntie B chose also to shut it down because she didn't want him to implicate himself, which I agree. He was implicating himself, okay? Especially if there are court cases still in court. All right. So that is that story. We're going to spend the next few minutes going through these lines so that we can unpack it. But let me see. Unfortunately, StreamYard is not showing me anything in the studio, but I can see that you guys can still see me on YouTube. We have about 99 people left here. Some people were only here for the gist of Auntie Alima. That's fine. All right, so let me just read some of your comments before I continue. You can't see on the screen, unfortunately, because I can't pull it to the screen. Gore's Corner says a pattern of lies should have been observed from the boy in the past. Mario says, I live in Canada. There is some truth to his generalizations, and there are things that are so specific to him that he puts down to society. I agree 100%. You know, one of the things with generalization is because it's laced. One of the things that's very difficult with generalization is laced with tons of truth, like actual events, right? Like things like you're like, yes, right? That you will agree with, right? But that's actually what makes it dangerous, because then it becomes, you might be potentially offending a person when you say, hey, maybe I can help you with this part, right? That you can potentially offend them just like that, you know. That's one of the reasons why I chose to not include my brother's name here. But I believe there's a lot of people that are listening to this that will benefit from this, okay? So you're absolutely right about that, Marriott. Let's see. He will still do, let me make 1 second. He will still do it. He can stop work and do contract. Whatever she gets till the kids are 18. Okay, you guys are talking about something, collecting money, blah blah blah. Yes, smart, and he still fired the lawyer. He didn't and has gotten another lawyer because of smart. Yeah. It's point of contention right there, right? Eunice says, this gentleman misrepresented the Canadian judicial system in all ramifications. I am African Canadian with over 10 years experience in legal system, and investigations are done. Okay, I knew it. I knew somebody would tell us that. We have 100 people watching. So thank you so much. Give me another 20 likes. Okay, I'm gonna go through this. I'm gonna go through this. You know, there's a lot of stuff in there. I find that with Canadian lawyers, you sometimes need to tell them what you want. I mean, advocate for yourself. Okay. Model, shout out to Model. Toby and Tribe, good to see you. She says that home is without peace. Best to leave that environment before it goes to prison. You know what I'm saying? Right? Exactly. I know he cares about his son, but he needs to put himself first at this point. Exactly. See, when I'm trying to help men with this type of issues on these public platforms, they don't realize I'm actually trying to help them. Like, you're overworking your capabilities. You need to back off and allow the forces of nature to help you a little bit. You will drown effectively. You will drown if you don't calm down. Anyway, let's keep going. The home is without peace. Best to leave the environment, yeah, but he needs to put himself first. Yes, he needs to put himself first. Yes, even before the child. Yes, I said it. Yes, even before your son, especially before anyone else, including your wife. right? But maybe you can't comprehend that yet. I'm gonna go from the beginning. He will still do it. He can't stop work. Okay, we already stuck there. Okay, let's see if anything else. If you're raising the kids from the onset to know their origin, they won't just see you as being from Africa and then being American or Canadian. The issues are, there are issues. There are underlying issues that I'm gonna have to unfortunately assume. That's why I make it anonymous, because I have the freedom to assume a little bit. But my guess is that I'm probably very accurate, because I will not be going too far. It's not too far-fetched, the stuff I will point out, okay? All right. Somebody said, Gorex says, the boy will play the same card with his mom in the near future, though. That's for sure. With every relationship that boy engages, he will play the same card. The problem there is that that boy has not, dare I say it. All right, it's an assumption. I don't know them, right? But it doesn't sound like that boy has really received much proper training. Let me say proper training, okay? What is proper training, okay? When both husband and wife don't agree and one person is training, even if your training is correct, that boy is not receiving training. Will they work? A house divided against itself cannot stand. If you're saying one thing and the mother is saying another thing, it doesn't matter who is right. Both of you are not training that child. That's the harsh truth, okay? And 14 years is already mad late. At that point, you can't use aggression. Will it work? All right? They've made up their mind on what they think the world is. Probably mostly wrong, but you have to be aware of that. In order to be able to sow another new set of new seeds in them, you have to be extremely patient. Anyway, somebody said people should marry other people they share values with. Yeah, that part is also going to be questioned a lot. Even if you marry somebody in your same street, even if you marry the mother, the son, or the daughter of your mother, that you share value thing is going to be questioned. That's why we call it crisis. We call it conflict. Conflicts are going to happen more times than you would imagine. That you'll be like, maybe we don't share the same values. No, it's not that. It's you have unrealistic expectations of being in a relationship with another human being. Sometimes you have differences. You have to find your way to agreement. You have to find your way to unity first before you attempt any type of parenting. Sometimes you might have to temporarily shut your own ideas down so that you can be in unity before you try to transplant any idea into that baby. Because it's going to work. If it works right now, in the long run, it's going to backfire. That's what I see in this. But anyway, let's see. I'm going to read one last one, then I'll go into my analysis. Gora's Corner says, my take is that he also has some lapses in he didn't tell us. His wife was acting on his flaws to bring him down or to be free from the marriage while taking over their assets. Yes. And granted, naturally, you tell us your story, is your story, is how you see it, you know. But on the other side, if I really want to be, I'm trying to pick my word, I'm trying to be nice, okay? Because I want him to receive what I'm saying. If he happens to stumble into this by any chance, all of us, including myself, if I'm telling my story and I just came out of a crisis, I'm going to tell the story that made me look good. Not because I'm intentionally trying to make the other person look bad. It's because that's particularly the reason why I was in crisis. I thought I was right and the other person was wrong. So that's the story I'm going to tell, right? But that story I'm telling myself and others is not helping me. It's in fact the very reason why I am ending up in Poto. Because I'm not calming down to see where the other person is coming from. The only thing I can see is, oh, it's African American, so you know something wrong. Oh, they don't raise like us. Like, oh, Canadian system is terrible. Like, it's everything else's fault but self. These are the issues, right? So let me go ahead and read this and analyze it, and then we'll call it a day. Okay. Let me take my time to read this. All right. When it's family matters, it's like the government chooses sides. As much as like he said, it's like it's not an affirmative statement, he's already started to generalize. Okay, that could be a personal opinion. It's like the government chooses sides, right? There's nothing wrong with that. The only thing that's wrong with that is that we're about to get into someone's personal story. And it's very hard. If you feel like the government is choosing sides, it's very hard to hold yourself accountable, make yourself responsible, put yourself in a position of responsibility, put yourself in a position of power to dictate the direction that you're moving right now. With understanding that in the short term, it might feel like you're not getting way ahead. But you understand that it's going to be a process, right? When your wife calls the authority, they don't investigate. That's false. There's no way you want to Japa from Nigeria to Canada and you're in a country where they don't investigate nothing. They just take the person's words, right? That's a war zone. If that was true, that would be a war zone. So that's not true. Now, let me give you some leeway. I live here in America, in the United States. There are times that the risk of leaving you in that house is just too great. If it happens to be a Friday, a Saturday, or weekend, and this person is claiming that you're about to huff them, no, they will not take that risk of leaving you out on the street. They'll rather take you inside and figure it out in the court on Monday morning if you're safe or not, if the story is adding up. The police job is to make sure they keep things safe and they can't. Sometimes the aggression may be too much from their perception, not yours. Your perception, you might not be aggressive. You might be having a different experience in your head. You might think you're right. It's your right, right? You might be, whatever it is that you're doing, I don't know what it was, but somehow the police has interpreted it that it's not safe to leave you out in the street when a whole human being who has human rights is claiming that somebody's trying to huff them. They're not going to assume that it's a lie. Okay? What they will do is they'll take you inside and try to give you food or whatever they can give you for you to survive till Monday. They will still give you what they consider your own human rights, but they will put you away till Monday morning. That's what I'm suspecting happened. Just a suspicion, okay? They don't investigate, they charge you and put you in the system. This can push people to a limit where they question what anything can push people to a limit. Anything can push people to a limit. We can't make light of that. We can't use that as talking point. It's actually disrespectful to people that may have ended in that way. To continue to use that as a talking point, right? Because by the way, there are places where you talk like that too. They're actually not going to assume that you won't hurt yourself. They will put you away just because you're talking like that. There's no need to bring that into, but there was a need because he was responding to the show. The show was about a couple that of themselves. So I'm going to leave that alone, right? It's a business, but these are people's lives. This is unrealistic expectations at best. Yes, a society is a business. There's no new information. Yes, the court system is a business designed to bring in more revenue for the state. There is nothing profound, nothing new about that. Okay? My wife calls the police on me, and for the last 9 months, I've stayed in my aunt's house and not my own house. My 13-year-old son, who is going in the wrong path. Most black kids in Canada are lost. Most black kids in Canada are lost. Don't make me pull statistics. A lot of black kids in Canada are lost. That is probably more of an accurate statement. A lot of kids could be 20,000, 30,000. That's a lot of kids. That's not necessarily most in Canada. But again, we start to detect that when you're speaking out of emotions, you start to say these kind of things, right? A lot of black kids, he corrects on the next one, a lot of black kids are in prison with the justice systems. That's correct. That's not most black kids, right? If you're not careful, you will lose your kids into the system. All right? Depends on what you mean by careful, right? If you're not intentional about your parenting skills, yes. More so like if you're not intentional about your parenting skills, if you lack self-awareness with respect to the society you live in and the required parenting skills from that environment, yes, you might lose your kids into the system, right? My wife is African American and Afro Canadian, so she doesn't understand my parenting style. she might not understand your parenting style. I'll leave that alone for now, okay? Right? But probably not because she's African American, half Canadian. It's probably because both of you have two different backgrounds. Myself and my wife have disagreed on parenting style before. I guarantee you, somebody that married somebody from their same street in Abeokuta have disagreed on parenting style before. Right? So this is not enough to throw your hands in the air and say, could it work? Right? Because that's what I'm sensing. It's like you say, could it work? Could it ever work? This Canadian system is just terrible. That's what I'm hearing. It seems like my son is getting caught up in the computer. As soon as after school, he stays on it from 3 p.m. after school till 5 a.m. in the following day. That's terrible, obviously. Right? There's no way, shape, or form that we can interpret that as, oh, that's cool. Just like, no, that's just on the surface, right? Even if it's weekend, like I have a okay, so funny enough, I have a 14-year-old. Okay, there's no day of the week that he's on the computer till 5 a.m. in the morning, unless I didn't know about it. As a matter of fact, I'll leave this alone. Okay, I'll leave this one alone so I can be a little faster, right? But there's no day in the week that he's allowed. By the way, I assume that he might have been on the computer sometimes without our knowledge. Maybe he's trying to sneak, maybe he's playing game till late night or something like that. But he also knows that there are consequences if he gets caught. Right? And I will find out because his room is right next to mine. Right? If that's a repetitive thing, right? So, it's just bad that a child would till 5 a.m. in the morning. Now, how do you playing games with people we don't know? They often play games with people you don't know. You don't know all their friends in school, right? You might know one or two friends, right? You should know some of their friends. It's part of your responsibility as a parent, right? It's duty as a parent, right? So you should, but they might be playing games with cousins of their friends who lives in London and you live in Philadelphia, right? That's possible. So that's not too strange these days. Again, as long as you're monitoring their activities, they have access to the internet, they're playing games with the rest of the world. It could be anybody, right? You just have to monitor it, right? So playing games with somebody till 5 a.m. in the morning, that didn't tell me anything except that this kid has not been getting proper parenting attention up to that point in time. We're trying to aggressively change that in this moment in time. We've never really addressed it, right? That's all it tells me, okay? He's very intelligent, good with coding, but I want him to use the talent into something else. Okay, there's a way to communicate that with a 14-year-old child, okay? You need to identify what he values. You need to identify what he values with respect to short-term, mid-term, and long-term, right? What does he value long-term, right? If you talk to him about college, there's some kids right now, they're not that connected to it, right? There's some kids, if they're advanced enough, they're connected. My 14-year-old child is already connected to college activities, right? So it just depends on that child, right? And you can't compare your child to mine. You have to pay attention to the particulars of your own child, understand what that is, because that's how you're going to figure out what they value, short, mid, and long term, right? That's what you're going to need to communicate that with your son. Because if you don't do that, you're going to be like, you should do this, you should do that, you should do that, and you're right. For a kid that's raised in the Western world, they would disconnect. Why? Because they think they have options, especially if you and your wife are not on the same page. Okay, so let's keep going. I want him to use that talent. When I tell him to clean his room, he sees it as me being hostile to him. Okay, that again, there's a disconnect between value and telling him to clean his room, right? If he doesn't value the idea of cleaning his room, there are other things he values. Do you know what he values? If you don't know what he values, if he values playing games, oh, there's games right there. But here, there's something before that game, and we're gonna get to it in a second, okay? Before we talk about these games or cleaning the room or any of this stuff, there's something missing here. I already said it, but I will repeat it again. Hold on one second. And because the mother grew up in this environment, she don't believe in talking to my son the way I know. You sound like you've given up on getting the mother to be on the same page with you, and that's part of the problems, right? Maybe you've tried to communicate your own way with the mother, and she's not receiving it, and you're like, they're just terrible because they were raised west in the Western way, African American slash African Indian, they can't listen. You've given up, and that shows in the way you behave, in the way you try to communicate with her. What if you assume you don't know anything? You're getting to know your wife all over again. You say, babe, what do you think? What's your outcome? What do you want us to have for this baby? That's what you need to do now. What It's kind of a bit late right now, but if you do find yourself back in that position where you're able to have this conversation, it's like, we love this. We love our boy. I know we want the best. What's your idea of the future for her? What do you think we can set in place, right? Start to have a conversation around that, open-ended questions where she can tell you, okay, all right, here's what I think. I think I have a plan. Now he's playing games till 5 a.m. in the morning. What do you think about that, by the way? Oh, no, it shouldn't be. See, the level of that conversation is different. Here's what I'm trying to say here. If you're not on the same page with your spouse about how you want to parent, work. I don't care how perfect your parenting style is, by default is by on arrival. The fact that you're not on the same page, and it's even worse if you are not able to get on the same page with your spouse. If you're the one who is more coming from the aggressive side of what you think should go in certain ways, you also have to add as part of your aggressive measures to get your spouse on the same page with you. That's the first step before anything else. Nothing will work if you're not on the same page with your spouse. That is the prerequisite to any other perfect methodologies you might have for parenting. You have to be on the same page with the other parent. The same is true if you're co-parenting, and this is a matter of divorce already happened. You have to humble yourself and you need to assign yourself to the end goal, humble yourself for the present, and then design a path to getting on the same page with that other parent first. If you don't do that, nothing will work. Why? Because the child will use it against both of you. A 14-year-old child no be your mate. That in some society, that's a grown person. Okay? In terms of already moving, they're already hogging on buses and downfalls around town. They're taking care of themselves. So you can't treat them like they don't have sense. You have to treat them like they have sense. Why? Because it benefits you more as a parent. It makes your life easier. You have conversations. But like I said, if they find the other parent as an ally that they can run to, they will use it every time. Like the rest of us, like adults. Like if we have options, we'll run to the options and not do the right thing. Remember, we talked about failed systems earlier, right? All right. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing your comments coming in the studio, but maybe it's necessary for this session. This one is a masterclass that's absolutely necessary. Okay. And because the mother grew up in this, so all this because the mother grew up in, lose it, completely lose that, because that's shutting your opportunities down. Okay. That's basically shutting your opportunities to get to know her today down. This could be the person you marry from the same street in your village in Ilaro, Ekiti. You will still need to learn how to get on the same page with them on a moment-to-moment basis throughout the rest of your life. You will learn how to manage crisis, manage conflicts, resolve conflicts, right? But if you shut down and say, because her mother was born that way, because they used to have 6 fingers in their house, that's the problem. That is your problem. That becomes your problem. This stories you're telling yourself is shooting yourself on the legs before you even get to the main goal, which seems like it's the son. But my mind is telling me that there are other issues behind the scenes before we got to the son. And unfortunately, the situation you're seeing with your son is a product of that. Okay? So sometimes when I talk to my son, he will talk back. Because there's value in talking back at you to him in that moment. Right? Remember value? Right? The value long term is not there. Because we know we should honor our parents, our fathers and stuff, right? But in the short term, somehow that boy has comprehended that that's what I can do right now and I can get away with it. And if you're not able to calm down, understand that from a very objective standpoint, it gets worse for you. You get caught up in your emotion, the boy is in his emotions, and then the mother is in the emotion. It's no wonder, right? When I ask him, who are you talking to? Which there's nothing wrong. If my son says a certain thing, I say, who are you talking to? Is it possible that my son right now could say something completely off the cuff to me? Yes. But I'm also coming as like, where did I come from? What do you mean? Right? Because it will shock me because it's never happened to us. Is it because I'm perfect? No. It's because there are some principles that guide these things. One of the problems that people say there are no principles. These are the things people tell themselves. But then they wonder where the results they are creating came from. There are principles that guide how we all show up here. And we are conducting ourselves the way we conduct ourselves. Is it perfect? No. That's why it's called principles. Right? It's a guide. Sometimes, part of the guide is that there will be conflict and crisis sometimes. It's how you respond to it that matters. The same things that you have to learn about relationships and marriage. And then I answer, I'm not, okay, so when you talking to, my wife would say he has the right to talk back. Now, your wife saying that, again, is basically what I already said. You're not on the same page with your wife, right? And then also, there's something deeper there. If your wife tells you your son has the right to talk back, the wife already feels some type of way about you. That part, we can't skip it. Why would your own wife, that you're in the same page all the time, things were beautiful, the marriage was in a great place, why would she feel the need to cite your son, or maybe not cite your son, but to be okay with your son talking back at you like that? Hey, by the way, it's generalization that African American can talk back. No, they can't. I know many of them personally, they can't talk back at their elders. They also understand respecting your elders. It's a thing. Yes, white people too. See how we tell ourselves those things and we generalize it and it suddenly becomes the truth. No, they have culture too. What are you talking about? They have culture too. No, they can't talk back at their elders too. Right? Even the ones that don't whoop their babies' butts, the white kids that we tend to give the example, they will still say, you can't talk to me like that, Daryl. Shout out to Daryl. Right? They come on now, like we're generalizing too much here, right? But this is part of the issues, because since you've made up your mind of what you think is happening, there's little room to open your mind to say, maybe there's something I don't know. Maybe I can learn something. Yes, I know I've been a parent for 14 years. Somehow that means I'm an expert at parenting. No, it doesn't. No one is, by the way. Okay? But again, there are principles, okay? There are principles that you can engage. One of the first principles, keep an open mind. If you find yourself in a situation, your 14-year-old suddenly woke up one day and their behavior changed, calm down, relax. The baby cannot be caught up in their emotions and you're caught up in your emotions. That makes sure it's going to be worse. Can you at least agree on that, right? Let's keep going. And then I answer, I'm not saying he shouldn't have the right to talk, but he shouldn't be talking back with an attitude. Right? I'm still paying the bills of this house. So that day, the boy just told me that, you watch if I will not buy you. A 14-year-old saying something like that, there's a very good chance. It's not absolute. There's a very good chance that neither parent had been paying attention to him for all those times. And it's not too late, but it's almost too late. Okay, but it's too late, like I said earlier, to use aggression. It's too late. Okay, it's time to put on your big guy's pants. Okay, and engage him like he's a grown man. Okay, that means a lot of patience, because at the back of your mind, this is your son. Like, what do you mean, right? Like, no, you should get smart. That's not gonna work. You have a son that's beating you along with the mother. Clearly, that's not going to work. Clearly, that's not working, right? Assault of any type, it's not going to work. Okay? Start with simple conversation. So what's up? What's going on? How was school? What do you mean? Oh, okay. Can I see a list of your subjects, your classes? I'm curious about something. Right? Tell me a little bit more about this Chinese language class. How's the teacher? They speak English? Engage them. It's taking a lot of patience. It's probably something you've never done before. Right? Maybe you've done this part. There's another aspect of that baby's life that you've disengaged from. Right? But right now, what this sounds like is that you are coming off as a complete stranger to this boy. There's one more option. There's a small chance, very small chance, that this boy is just evil. Like the devil just gave you a bad child. A very small chance. Like this is just spiritual attack from your village. It's a very small chance that that's what's going on. But I can't help you with that. There's a good chance you can't help yourself with that. What about if we just shut that end down and say, hey, maybe there's something here. Let me do some inventory. Maybe yes. It's not my fault. I've been working hard. Maybe I haven't spent enough time to engage how the friction between different cultures, raising the baby with two different cultures, could have created a division. What about my relationship with my wife or my ex-wife to be? Because the fact that you're divorced does not exonerate you from these responsibilities. In fact, it's needed more, right? You will still need to be on the same page with your ex-wife when you finish that divorce if you want to create a fine man for society. So that day, the boy just told me, if I'll buy you, of course, that's a terrible thing to say to a child, for his child to say to their father. I feel your pain. Like, God forbid. God forbid. That's terrible, right? But there are more questions that you should be asking. How did that get here? How did we get here? Let me trace my step backwards. Let me first of all remove these statements like Canadian government is evil, African American people are raised in such a terrible way that we can't raise children together. That's a lie. I know you didn't mean to tell the lie. This is just your experience. But effectively it's a lie, right? Because many of them obviously raised fine people. Obviously, right? When the police came, I'm the one that was charged. I already explained that. It's probably a good chance that the scenery, the animation, Africans, yes, we get animated and we're using hand gestures and stuff like that. If whatever it is, maybe it's your head that moved too noddy like this. Maybe you moved, maybe your ears were tweaking too much like this. I don't know what it was. For some reason, they've determined that it's better to put you away. If you hold on to that story, because you're out now, if you hold on to that story, I understand why you may feel the need to, but there's resentment there, right? Like, how could that get in that position? My own family. I feel you. I feel your pain. But if you get stuck on that, listen, it's not be your memory because it's a terrible experience, obviously, right? But let's look at the bigger picture. What is it that you're still looking for out of life? Relationship with your son. Potentially, maybe with your wife. I don't know if that's necessary. Honestly, if somebody is saying that they feel threatened about being offed by you, I wouldn't go near that myself. If you value yourself, I would stay completely away from that. At least for now. I don't know the details of that, but that relationship was not good. Can we admit that marriage was not in a good place? And it's not the fault of African American or you being a Nigerian. It's just you didn't know what you didn't know, and that's okay. That's okay. It's happened to the best of us. There's the divorce rate out there, you can see it, right? A lot of people are trying to figure this thing out, but you need to acknowledge it so that you can know what cards you're dealt, so you can know how to play it, because you still have to play this game called life, especially when your child is involved, your son, especially if that's your first son. You must pick up these pieces, and by continuing to point fingers at the Canadian government or the system or judiciary, listen, it's not going to work. Listen, yes, it's a business. Yes, plea deals are part of the bargain. It's part of how society works. You don't want to waste resources on a stupid $150 ticket They say, hey, here they do the same thing here. They say, hey, you're going to get 7 points, or you could just pay this $150. Don't go into the courts. There's no need. You save your day. You move about your day. Or you rather go in there and face a trial for 7 points when clearly you crossed the red light. Okay, you didn't cross the red light. Well, the camera is good enough on that stoplight to show that you crossed the red light, and you might end up with 7 points plus another $700 fine. Nah, $150. This is part of the power talk that we talk about here. Your time, what is it worth to you? Do you want to get stuck on the fact that you're right? Or you want to look at your time and say, let me look at my time and say, what is my time? Let me give them $150. Even here, in my own city here, you don't have to pay that same day. They will make an arrangement with you. That's how societies work. The society we want to Japa to, that's how they work. It's about managing resources. It's not about being right. Okay? You have your story. You're probably right with your story. I tell you that here all the time. It's not good enough to be right. You will just end up blaming Canadian government, judicial system, women, another side, feminists. You'll be blaming everything when you don't understand these things. And if you're spending all your energy blaming everything else, how much energy do you have left for self-improvement, for yourself, self-love, self-respect? How much energy do you have left when we all know that energy is neither created nor destroyed? You can't create more of it. You're just going to waste it. Mindset. These are the mindset I see in a lot of the talking point that it's like, it's like, no wonder. Could it be, yes, a spiritual attack somewhere? Yeah, it could be. It's a very small chance. There's a very high chance it's not. Okay? Could it be that this boy is just bad because the mother raised him to be bad? Yes, very small chance. I doubt it. I believe your story. This is your experience. But I doubt it. One of our family members bought a brand new Toyota RAV4. Since that day, problems started. So we're getting to the marriage issues. You notice that the stories is interwoven with marriage issues, with the parenting issues, right? It's like, really, we shouldn't be spending so much energy talking about this boy. It's like, no wonder. It's little to no wonder that this boy is like this, right? So she has the grass is greener on the other side syndrome. She wants a new car. She should be responsible for that. Okay? But something aggressively happened. Something aggressively happened on the day. Maybe she was the one that was being aggressive, and somehow the bruise ended up on the other party. Yes, they might take you away because it's not about you were right that day. It's about making sure that people were safe until you see each other in court. That's what it was about. And if she continues and there's more evidence, yes, it might put more charges, enough charges on paper for paper purposes to be able to put you away for 2 days. I believe those part of the story. I do. Those things can happen if you find yourself in the hands of the system, in anywhere in the world, here in America, in Canada. Listen, if you find yourself in that system, nothing is going to feel fair for you. Nothing. You will always feel like it's played against you, right? But you have to be self-aware that this is a natural feeling that will creep into you because you went through that experience. You have to disconnect yourself from that and say, no, there's more to this. What is the outcome I'm looking for? I want to get my life back. I want to have a relationship with my son. A wife that will basically say, there's no need for me to continue that relationship. Honestly, there's no need for that, okay? Unless there are things I can't see in this story, there's no need to try to continue to perpetuate continuing that relationship. And you don't need that in order to parent your child. It would be ideal, but it's not safe for anybody to be in a position where somebody feels like they're being threatened. They might end up hurting you. Don't you love yourself? Right? I refused to pay for a new car, and she started calling me names. What kind of husband am I? And the sorts. She has a job. In my driveway, therefore, these are all good stuff. These are all the truth. That were good stuff that he was saying, but they were mixed in with, you have to pick those and say, Brother Ali, what happened to the marriage? What's going on with the marriage? What do you expect out of your children if There's division between you and your wife or your ex-wife. The same principles if you're divorced. What do you expect? The children will take advantage of that, especially in those teenage phases. They're discovering that, oh, I could be an adult, I can have, they're discovering that. So if they see any out, and especially if you don't know how to attach value to the principles you're trying to instill in them, it's going to work against you. Do it just because I said do it. Just because I said that's my parenting style. No, what's the value in it? Did this child ever said anything about college? They want to go to college? What about scholarships? Have they been talking about scholarships? Right? Do they have a big smile on their face when they have good grades? Or it doesn't matter to them? Or they're having terrible grades? Which one? Wherever you are, you need to acknowledge it and learn how to draw a line from point A to the point B and identify the point B. Make sure the baby can correlate, comprehend some value with respect to point B. If they can't, you are in Oyo. I'm trying to simplify it. It's not simple. Anything I say is easier said than done, especially if there have been damages already. But it's doable. It's doable. It's going to take all types of humility. You have to humble yourself. You have to feel blessed already. Like I have a child, that's a blessing already in itself. I have a duty and a responsibility to parenting, that's another level of blessing. You do not have a right. It's a privilege to have that child. It's a mindset thing. Don't argue with your own destiny. It's a mindset thing. That's just something you tell yourself so you can create better results. It's not that deep. Well, Orlando, you're wrong. You're right. Okay. If that's working for you, keep doing it. There's no argument at all. If whatever you're doing is working for you, you keep doing it. If it's not working, if you're confused, maybe it's time to learn something new. Okay? Let me tell you something. I'm just gonna read some comments here. I'll leave it alone. I think we've covered more than enough base here. Okay. If we haven't, I'll bring it back up again. The fact that he came back to be defensive on the stream and to shalaye, right? I do shalaye, but I get paid to do shalaye, right? So I'm sorry, But when it comes to romantic, emotional issues, shalaye often doesn't work. Okay, I mean mansplaining, over-explaining yourself. Doesn't work because there's a reason why you're feeling the need to over-explain yourself. You're already losing it, emotionally speaking. Okay, you're losing it, and it's probably showing in your mannerisms, and it's going to continue to work against you. The fact that he needed to come tells me that he does a lot of that in his personal life. One thing my mother told me this when I was going through my own crisis. She said, Ola, masoroji. Ola, masoro. Oh my God, I value that thing. Jesus, that advice is one of the best advice I've ever gotten. Because when you're going through this stuff, you feel the urge to explain. You just get defensive when somebody says something that antagonizes with what you're trying to explain. You have this need to be right, and it actually works against you. So I'm forced to say, is this what he's doing in his relationships? Does he do this with this boy, with this young man, right? I told you a story here before where I had to go to my neighbors to help him, where the boy had his father in a headlock like this. This things happen. Okay. These things do happen, So let's do this. Let me read some of your chats, because I know you guys have been talking. Okay, I think I got enough chats here that I can review. Shout out to everyone that's still watching. Oh no, I'm on the wrong page. Let me see. I was still looking in StreamYard. Shout out to all 98 of you watching. Hopefully, if you're getting, I got 65 likes so far. Shout out to all of you. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get that to 75. If I've said anything that made sense to you or that made you think twice, because you shouldn't be agreeing 100% with what I'm saying. You should be able to process it first, right? Please hit that like button because we would like to help more people continue this type of conversations. Okay. Chinye says, let me go back a little bit up. Okay. All right, there you go. Okay, I think I found where we were. Okay. Julian Lifestyle. Shout out to Julian Lifestyle. This is sad that I can't show this on the screen. Jesus Christ. StreamYard, not for my handle. Hey. Julian, yeah. Julian Lifestyle said the home is without peace. Best to leave that place before you go to prison. Yes. I agree. Eunice says, to be fair, he sounded very heated and aggressive even on Antivi's show. Yes, and he doesn't realize it. It's just the way he talks. And it takes self-awareness. There was also additional argument about Nigerians being aggressive. I said, Nigerians are aggressive. That is what it is. You know, I've felt that way about us Nigerians, but I've also been called aggressive because I'm a Nigerian, because we have a way in our diction that other people may interpret as being aggressive. It is what it is. It's about the self-awareness. Just know that so you can use that in your own favor. When you start to argue against it, how can you use it in your own favor? Could it work? So, your tone and demeanor matters. He was loud while raising his voice. I emphasize with him, but he needs a great criminal rep. Yeah, because you empathize with him. Me too. He needs a great criminal rep because again, once you have all this stuff against you, you might end up in jail. You know, because again, it's about safety, safe environment for the rest of the society. You know, it's sad that some people will even end up in that system because of it's too many things against them, too many evidences or proof or the right lawyer against them. You need to understand it as part of societal power dynamics, and don't argue with your destiny. Just learn how to mitigate and work around it. Okay. And if your calling is to help create better systems and better laws, you still need to be emotionally centered to do that. Don't you think so? Because if you're not emotionally centered, they will use it against you too, right? You'll say this one don't know what he's talking about, right? Ola Olatoni said that boy was overindulged. Yeah. Children just don't wake up and start going till 5 a.m. in the morning. Sounds like you have too big of a house and they're on the other end of the house and you don't know what's going on with them for a long time. That's what it sounds like. See, every time you point fingers, there's always 4 fingers pointing back at you. Before we catch you in this internet streets, which is for your own good, catch yourself, self-awareness. Don't wait. Eunice says, let me see. Okay, that was Eunice. Okay, Eunice says he should have moved out of the house long time ago to protect himself. Yeah. Sometimes we just don't know until we hit rock bottom, right? Emotional intelligence. What the hell is he still doing in that house? Yeah. He's in that house particularly because of the same reasons why he's in this quarter. He was busy trying to be right. Okay? He was busy trying to be right. And if you're overly obsessed with trying to be right,
you're right.
If you're overly obsessed with trying to be right,
you will end up in McDonald's.
Not just that.
You know you can be prosecuted for that.
Is it fair? No, you're right. It's not fair. But again, if the society at large, the evidences, the forces, so many forces, you're just one human among 8 billion people. If it's against you, you go collect. Still way around it. I'm just letting you know. So, and lack of self-awareness about this, or lack of awareness about this is just how the world operates. It actually, it just gets worse. It just gets worse. Okay. All right. Let's see. Isabel says, okay, I already read Isabel. Eunice says, from the information they provided, that child didn't receive training from the word go. The parents were never on the same page. That's a prerequisite. I don't care if this is your ex. If you don't know how to do it, you need to engage coaching, counseling, okay, on how you're going to get on the same page with that co-parent. Because if you don't, this nothing you said, it doesn't matter how perfect, how you were raised, in the poto instantly. Okay? Because the child is a whole human being, a whole spirit that will attack all of us if you don't get this right. Because you can comprehend, you can see these ones are not even, they don't even know how to agree. It's subconscious. It's not saying that all intentionally. It's subconscious. It's like, okay, let's beat him up, Is it right? No. But again, remember, you don't want to be obsessed with being right because you're probably right already. You need to figure out, this is a game. What is it that you're looking to achieve? Learn how to move the cards you dealt around to achieve what you're looking for. Okay? You've created some damages right now, not by yourself, with your wife, because she should be knowing this too, but you're the one talking. You always engage the person that's talking. With the power that they have, we shed light on the power that they have. Okay? It's not absolute, there's no guarantee, but if they were not even aware that they had power in the first place, imagine how worse it's been, right? Gorex says, yes, his emotions was playing, and I just feel he needed a listening ear while he was on the show and wanted backup. Yes, I agree. That's what he wanted. Ola, please, you need to advise him, or no, hopefully if you like him and you want to send this video for him, send it to him. But this person is anonymous, please don't mention his name. Because I'm not sure if it's not somebody backing him, like you said, I'm not sure if it's in that place where he's able to receive it. And I'm not in this business for free either, also particularly because when people don't pay, they don't pay attention. Okay, so before he makes a terrible mistake, I pray for him. I'll just pray for him, right, like a brother. Ola is extremely frustrated and angry with his spouse and the judicial system. Shout out to you, Esther HM. She said that man is hurt. He needs to calm down, forgive, and continue to make his own progress and see how far the son and the mom fix this mess within themselves. That mama go take soon from son. He was fighting. Gora says he was fighting everything around him. Okay, let me see if I can do this. I think I might have found a way around this. Hey, right? I think I might have found a way around this. All right. Yeah, so we can be engaged here. Let me see. Let me pull this to the next window. All right. I found a way, I think. Okay. All right. So he was fighting everything around him, e.g., the government system and his family with relationship. It was fighting environmental factors. It was fighting the weather, the snow, right? It was fighting all those things that are going to happen anyway, right? That's not good. Okay? What you need to learn is how to move around those things, All right. Olalatunji says, but the wife have lied a lot on him to ensure that she gets his investment that are in his name or share. It's too late to say sorry. They will end up in McDonald's.
You will end up in McDonald's.
May God forgive all of them. Olalatunji said that, right? See, when the police arrived, his tone and manner of response are being counted. Yeah, that was too much for me to be switching between windows. Let's just do it the way I was doing it before. I can't be wiser than myself here. Let's just do it the way we'll be doing it. By the way, as you're here, let me just put this on the screen while you're doing that. Hit the like button, okay? And don't forget to go get your free gift now or before or after, whenever, But let me go back to the comments. Okay, there you go. He was fighting everything around him, e.g., the government. We talked about that. But the wife, okay, we talked about that. See, when the police, we talk about that. That doesn't help his case because the system is larger than him. Yes, it doesn't. The system is no perfect anywhere in the world. If you're going through a personal issue and your focus is the faults with the system, you know what time it is? You will drown. You're swimming against the trend. Will it work? Right? You need to. If you assume that no system is perfect, then you learn the game. See, he claimed that he's smart and he's read the books, and then suddenly he doesn't need a lawyer. That tells me that you're not smart, sir. Actually, you might be smart, but definitely no wisdom in that application. Okay? You need the lawyers because when it's not just because the lawyers are smart. It's because when the judge see that you have representation, there's certain level of respect for your case that goes like this leverage, just like that. Just for knowing that, hey, this is not just about what I know. It's not about what you know. It's never been. There's no word that it's ever been about what you know. It's about who you know. They didn't tell you that. You thought I was only in Nigeria. Did you think that was only in Nigeria? Oh, let me. I just noticed, bro. Patrick, my thing no feed. I'm so sorry. I don't know if this. Okay, I will drop this into. Let me see if this helps. I know you asked for the link a while back. I'm not sure if this will post. And maybe posting can actually get the feed flowing again. I'm not sure. Let me see here. Let's see. Did that post? Oh, that link post. I just posted the Bro Patrick, just so you know. Hopefully that works because StreamYard is acting up. Let's see. Let's go back to where I was. Thank God that I covered this story because. Oh, okay, it worked. I see somebody just popped into the studio. Let me see. Okay. Brother Patrick.
Hey, hola.
How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Good to see. I just noticed your comment because this thing they feed inside this place for some weird reason.
Hello.
Yeah. How's everything? What do you think about this case? Were you on that show? Don't mention his name, but were you on the show?
No, I watch it later.
Oh, you watch it later. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't on the show. Yeah, I wasn't on the show. But yeah, it's a big case. Let me just put it that way. It's a big case.
Mm.
And I know people that have experienced that.
Mm.
We can't just be passing judgment because unless you are in that shoes, that you have raised boys. I tell you, it's by the grace of God to raise these kids, especially boys. I'm going to give you one example real quick. I have a friend as a pastor, he has a PhD. The wife too has a PhD. These are good people.
Right.
I have a son that is very smart too. And you want to get to that teenage age, they want to be, being influenced in school,
Right.
And this boy was uncontrollable. So, but some women tend to take sides with these kids.
With the children.
Motherly
Yes.
instinct. So, this my friend he's a pastor. He took him to another pastor. This my friend's in Nigeria. Took him to another pastor that's African American. That one was not saying, don't allow it. You have to be there. Please, don't give this boy. Don't leave him. We don't know. Don't just let it go like that. Be strong, bro. Orlando, the pastor too had a son too. He has a son. I mean, the African American pastor.
Right.
Just like the same age with this guy. So he was not giving an example of his son, what he was doing. To cut the long story short, the African American pastor, this is the pastor that is pastor about, let's say, 2,000 congregations. So the son is in prison now, Ola.
Okay.
His son is in prison now. In fact, I met him in the library one day. So he just greet me and say, Pastor Pat, he greeted me. So, and how are you doing? So, thank God that you're even in the library. So what I now told is that he said I should have gone there and see what he was doing. They might be doing something else. And I said, why should I go there? He was not telling me what he was going through. But unfortunately, this guy has gone to jail several times, but right now he's in prison.
Wait. Who has gone to jail several times?
The boy for shoplifting.
Okay, so this boy has a pattern of going to jail.
Yes.
Okay, so Brother Patrick, these are the issues that and I'm glad you came up. Thank you so much for coming up, because I need when I'm shooting in one direction, right? There's only so much I can cover all bases. But you are able to stop me, right? Or another person is able to stop me. This is why this is just a terrible idea today. This is why I love engaging the comments, right? And so I can slow down and explain some other things break them down into further details, right? Life itself, would you agree with this, that life itself, that is the grace of God?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if I say because life itself is the grace of God, right? I should now say, I can drive anyhow on the street anyhow. I can live my life anyhow, right? After all, it's the grace of God, who is perfect anyway. What would you say to me in that case?
I would say you're a fool now.
That I'm being foolish, right?
Yeah.
So when we're talking about relationships, marriage, parenting, we tend to say that it's grace of God when we're talking, because I can understand the need for empathy on certain topics. A lot of these topics, all of them need empathy. As a matter of fact, if I was engaged with a person directly and I don't first of all acknowledge where they're coming from, empathize with them, they're not going to listen to me because of the same thing we're talking about, emotions, right? I need to make sure they feel safe first so that they can receive what I might have for them, right? And also what I might have for them, there's no guarantees with it. But if they don't even know that what I might have for them exists in the first place, right? And the results they are creating is not favorable, I think that would be an opportunity that, maybe there's something I'm missing, including myself. You know what I'm saying? That's for any human being, right? So I hear you, but then when you were telling me the story, you said this boy has a pattern of going to prison. What else happened there? Where did they drop the ball? Or we should just give up and say it's the grace of God for anybody who got it right?
No, let me give you one leg to that. Like we Nigerians, we like pushing our kids to go to college.
Yes.
But when this guy, as soon as he turned 18, he graduated from high school, he just started working, they gave him a room, he got an apartment, they could sign for him. I was like, no. But that's been the way they raise their kids.
That's how they raise their kids.
So the man was even saying that he's glad that this boy is becoming the man that I was thinking maybe we'll have started at least community college. But the dad has a master's and all those things. The mom too has a master's. So one day I just saw him at the bus stop, like, what are you doing at the bus stop with some boys? He didn't say anything, but before I knew it, the father said he got caught shoplifting.
Yeah.
So that continued, they've won. He has been to jail like 2-3 times, but now he's in prison. So one just needs wisdom sometimes.
Yeah.
As you grow, I have a son that is very smart, very smart.
Mm-hmm.
But this boy, I've said that, but this boy, it was in a school. Yeah, more than all the white boys they following. Even the teacher called me and said, "This is your son." He said, "Patrick, I've never said this before. I've been teaching for 35 years. He said, this is the smartest boy I've ever met. He challenged me with maths. This is a woman." He said, but when they said there's a fire somewhere,
Right.
it's the boy that started it. So when the boy wanted to enter high school, what we thought, me and my wife, he said, what are we going to do? This is in middle school. What are we going to do? I just said, and he wanted to go on to one big school. We said he wasn't going there. He said, no. This boy said, no. I said, no, you're not going there. I mean, very big school. And this school is mixed.
Why didn't you want him to go there?
Yes. Number one, it's a public school and it's a big school. It's going to mix with a lot of people. We just decided we prefer one small school. And that was what we did. I really helped him. And this school I'm talking about, the class of people is there, that are there, we are talking about the bourgeois. You understand? And what they use in that school is not money. They admit students based on merits. And my son was admitted there based on merits. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
Not going to be, yes. So it was dead. People was mixing it. And when it was in, I'm sorry, I'm left to use this example. To use this example, when it was in middle elementary school, all his friends, 91% of them are from single parent home. And something happened one day.
We know that, yeah.
One thing happened to my son. He was younger then. Now I said, I love this. I like this. One of his, I said, why do you like it? He said, because he received 2 gifts during his birthday. I said, what do you mean? He said he get from his mom, his dad, and his granddad. 3 gifts from his granddad. He said, I want that kind of, I said, I was not saying, well, this kid doesn't understand. So, but the difference now is the people he's mixing with now are all 2 parents, married couples. So like we'll meet them, we'll go to meeting together. Some of them will bring to their house. You understand? And these are small groups compared to that big school where you have a lot of mixture of Black, Hispanic, and everything. And they do pie there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So God just directed us. And the funniest thing, my last baby went to that big school. And that one, she's a girl. She doesn't make trouble. We've never had any complaint from nobody. But our life, my son has gone there. It would have been a different case. Let me just wait. God just gave us that wisdom. Just gave us that wisdom. Like the boy that, the guy was saying his son was writing to the vice principal, calling her names and all those things, So, and like I said, one thing that people look in America, if you are moving to an area, you look at the school districts. It goes along. You don't look at money.
Yeah.
If you want to move to this place, houses are cheap there, apartments are cheap there. No, especially when you have kids.
Yeah, you're gonna end up in a school district.
Yes, you have to look at it. That's a priority for those with kids. Look at the school districts. There are some school districts. If you want to transfer, you call the school. By the time they hear your accent, they will not respond to you. I'm serious. They will not respond to your call. Usually, most of the school, when you call them, you're going to drop a message, the voice message.
Yeah.
As soon as they hear your accent, they are not going to answer your call. They are not going to respond.
Mm-hmm.
We are in this country. We know them. You know what I mean? So those are the things we look at. So it really helped us.
Yeah.
Let me take this song, this my song from here. I'm going to put in a better school where we mix with good people. We've raised kids here now, so we know. Yeah.
Okay. So when you listen to that guy's story, what stood out the most for you?
Let me say, like that, like the guy, it's right now he doesn't get himself because he's going through it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's acting based on even whatever what he was saying is based on emotion. He's been out for 9 months. He's paying the bills. You understand?
Yeah.
It's like he's even like right now. It's like he's in a gallows.
Mm.
You know, like when his first response was that, well, you cannot blame. Like the story we were talking before,
which we can't blame those people because
so
we don't know what they went through on their last minutes, their last seconds. We don't know.
Yes.
We can't judge. We can't. Some people will say, "Oh, this person is brave." Some people will say, "Cause that's disrespectful."
And the guy said, even before he could be going to court proceedings, he need therapy.
Yes.
Before, if you should go there with
even lawyers advise people. I get clients like that all the time that their lawyers will refer them and say, "Go and talk to someone," because they can tell in the way they are conducting themselves that they will use their own mouth to lose the case, even with representation. They'll say, "Go and pay for a counselor. Talk to a counselor first."
Because if he goes to court with that attitude, he might get himself into more problem. Yes.
And they tell you to take a stand. How are you not going to tell them that it's Canadian system? That is just evil. Even if you don't say those exact words, they can feel it in your energy.
Yes. He's saying I. A lot of I. In his statement, I work for the government. I've been here for a while.
I'm very smart.
So you should take time and learn. Go to people that have gone through that before, that walk that road. People that have walked that road, you should learn from them. How did they navigate that road?
He said all the lawyers are the same. So I feel for him.
Yes, I really feel for him too.
For him, but that can only help. It will help in short term. He will feel better by himself.
And the ball is in the court of the government, and it's the son that I really feel for, because the guy, he doesn't know what he's doing. By the time he grew up, I have a boy too now. My son does that to play game.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they lock themselves in.
Yeah, they play game. My son will sometimes supposed to go to bed at. They're supposed to be in bed at 9. Period. Sometimes if he gets caught beyond even 5 minutes after that, his game is taken away for 2 weeks. Right. So, if your game, we agreed to the rules in the first place. We both agreed to it. You know what I'm saying? So, and things just as simple as that. If you understand that mindset, the risk reward system. Understanding that there are consequences, right, in life. You use a lot less energy, but they speak volume. But if the baby, let's say your own son doesn't care about games, you can't use that. You need to know what your own son cares about. This is where people say this is not easy. Like, no, it's not easy. That's the whole point. You need to get to know your child and know what they care about, so that they will get more of it if they are behaving properly, or they'll get less of it if they misbehave. With explanations if they need it, doing less work, let them explain what just happened. Let them say it to you, right? It works better than you just shooting blanks and just preaching at them all the time.
And the mother, both parents supposed to agree on that. the kid instead of the mother taking side of the son.
Right. So this is the tricky part about that, sir. And I'm going to ask you a question around this. If you're in this type of situation, let's use the same exact scenario, right? The boy didn't clean their room, and you say, "I did. Why didn't you clean your room? What happened? You're supposed to clean your room already by this time. What happened?" And the mother said, and he's talking back, like random, complete talking back at you, and you're like, "Who are you talking to?" And then the mother said he has the right to talk back. How would you respond to that, sir? If you mistakenly for some I don't think you find yourself in that situation. But let's just say you find yourself in that situation. How would you respond to that?
I would de-escalate the situation. You know what I mean? Because if I want to act, it's going to blow up.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, because it has gone beyond, what you can really imagine, that your son is talking back and the mother is taking side.
The mother is taking sides.
Yes, you have to kind of discard. There must be underground problem.
Yes.
For us
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. And as much as you might be confused in that moment, you didn't see where it's coming from. At least you know enough that okay, something just happened. Where'd that come from?
I just back out.
It's just I don't understand what it happened. Because if you engage it, you might end up in jail that night. Is that unfair? Is that fair? Whatever you think it is, you're right. But this is how these things work. If you don't know how to de-escalate matters, for me, sir, right? I believe that the nurturing thing that mothers bring to the table, sometimes that can conflict with our stoic ways of wanting to. You don't even have to go to Yankee to marry wife. You can marry wife in the kitty, and this can happen, right? And then because like, my baby show mommy, right? Number one, we know that you're not on the same page with your spouse when it comes to parenting. We know that already now, effectively by what is playing out, right? So now let's say that you try to talk to your wife and your wife seems to continue this behavior. This is a lot of people go through this. This is a very tough thing to go through, or she says something like, why you always scold me in front of my child? Do you have to scold me in front of my child? Right? And she's doing that in front of the child. This is why we call it crisis. It's I don't say crisis for crisis' sake. It's because it's a confusing situation. It's because in that moment, it's very confusing. Like even you yourself, you're a human being, you'll be upset. Like, how can you be scolding me to not check you in front of your child, but you're doing it in front of your child? Does two wrongs make it right? These are the thoughts that will be going through your head. So, you're now put in a position as a man to take the higher road. Why? Why should I take the higher road all the time? Because there are greater purpose. Your child is involved in this. Your parenting, the outcome of your children when they become adults is attached to this. You have to humble yourself beyond just what's going on, playing out. Yes, your wife was disrespectful to you in that moment, and you're still not going to be able to address it properly by being aggressive back. It's not going to work.
Even the chore of the house, I do more. When I come into my house and what the kids are supposed to do, they didn't do it, I won't even just call them. I will do everything. By the time they just open their mouth and say, what?
Mm-hmm.
I won't go to their room and do anything in their room. I've never done that. About my own room, everywhere, living room, I'm going to take good care of it.
Yeah.
Yes. By the time you go, when you don't do it, when I'm teaching you, you don't want to do it, I'll be praying for you. You go to college, you will graduate. It's going to be you and your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Deal with it. Let me quickly give you this example. I met a lady, an elderly lady with the husband. we met in one place.
Mm-hmm.
So at an occasion, they were not telling me, the African American, one of their sons in his 40s was homeless.
Mm-hmm.
So it was cold, very cold. They now brought him in to come to their house. And it's, you know what they said? They gave him 1 week. Ola, they said, well, we are sorry. We are just going to ask you for just 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want you to be comfortable. After 1 week, they kick him out again. Ola, this man got himself back. He has bought a house. He has a company. He's doing fine now. He said people were telling them that, wow, you have a whole house. Look at your son. And that was their only son. That's their only son. They just gave him 1 week. And after 1 week, they kick him out. Our life is an Africa, we, our people. The sound might be there forever again. That really taught me sense. Okay, these people, it makes sense. After 1 week, they kick him out.
Yeah. It's not that difficult, but it's difficult. Anything we say here, sir, it's easier said than done. And no matter how many times I made that clear, but there are principles that guides parenting. And for as many times that you think there is no principle that guides parenting, you will continue to create bad parenting. Because you already said there's no principles. There's a reason why, not you, I'm telling anybody that's listening to me, anybody that says there's no principles, it's just, it's just grace. It's like, yeah, we know it's grace. This whole thing is grace. But we're now saying that you have a responsibility, you have a duty.
Yes.
And if you now tell yourself this story that it is not easy, I know it's not easy. I just said that. But that story is telling you there's olonyu, like there's more to it. You're trying to tell me that there's no need for you to engage parenting. Just do your best. No, your best may not be good enough with that mindset.
Let me laugh, Ola.
Yes, sir.
My son, nobody taught me how to play drum in church. He just jumped there and playing.
Picks it up.
Yes, I just entered his car one day. Look at the music he's listening to. All this rap. Oh my God.
Of course.
I just said, well, what do I expect you to do? You understand? I was just laughing. I can't say, no, you must listen to Christian. I just said, well.
No, you've done your best. You've given them what do you call it? You've given them the...
Maybe you know one of the music.
Which one?
Idu Baby.
No, I don't listen to American music anymore. I haven't listened to American music in a long time.
Some people will know.
I know Little Baby. I know that artist name. I don't even know what it looks like, but I know that artist name.
I said, oh my God. I thought I listened to that Little Baby. I said, well,
how old is your son, sir?
Yeah, he's going to be 18.
Yeah. They're listening to Little Baby. That's what they're listening to right now. The oldest they're probably listening to right now is Future. Yeah. So, I mean, we just have to... So we give them some basic principles, basic core things that they can use to survive in life, right? And we should also have expectation that they will make their own decisions.
Yeah, that's
But this story of this guy is an extreme. No, yeah. I don't have expectation that my son will talk back at me. If he talks back at me, there are consequences for that. Those consequences have been previously discussed, and they already know it. And if they didn't, that means the more patience I have to practice in handling that.
Yeah.
There's a big crisis in my hand, and I've overlooked a lot of things. This is coming as a shocker. This is going to be a process, but I must be patient on how I handle this.
Yeah.
And especially if her mother is taking her side, even more patience is going to be required. Does that sound hard? Welcome to the real world. You need patience, okay?
Yeah, when it's becoming too tense, just pick up your shirts, walk out, you know what I mean? If you involve, go and sleep somewhere instead of sleeping in a place for 9 months.
Yes.
Why don't you do that at that particular time?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So that I don't know if you have one last word, so we can round up.
No, there's such thing happen like a flash. Boom. You know what I mean? Before you know it has blown up.
Yes, that's what anger does. That's what anger, especially if you never had principles, guiding principles for your relationships. Your children are your relationships. Did you know that?
Yeah. Thank
Right?
you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. You're welcome anytime, sir. You just if you know there's any day you want to come up, message me in the group ahead of the time that day. Then I will drop the link a lot more earlier. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yes, sir. All right, sir.
Greetings, Lola.
All right, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So this thing, somebody said it. Okay, so Facebook is sending me feed. Intervene, Lord, in my situation. Peace Kids Entertainment. Amen. I pray for you. Yeah. Somebody's on Facebook, I guess, but we don't have a lot of audience on Facebook. But YouTube stream is not streaming in my thingy here. But shout out to everyone that's here. Shout out to Bumi. Thank you for the smoke, Bumi. I love a little smoke. she knew I'd be asking for smoke, I guess. D Love, shout out to you, Go Rex, everyone. See, I was pulling it manually while I was listening to Brother Patrick. Model, shout out to you. Yes, making them accountable at a young age. Yes. Go Rex Corner is going to sleep. I see that. Tough situation for a man to be in. Yes. Everything we said is easier said than done, but it's after the battle won when you are aware, right? It was to the discrimination by accent. What are we talking about? After I go off, I tell them that I don't like to yell, but they push me. After you have to check these kids. Sometimes you have to check them. They need to know that mama don't play. Ladies, you will find yourself in a situation where you are disagreeing on parenting with your husband. I want you to understand that it's a very difficult situation for him. He's trying to make you happy at the same time trying to instill whatever he's trying to instill in the child. He will need your help. Nothing good comes out of being on different pages in terms of parenting your kids. If he's too aggressive, say, hey babe, let me talk to you in the bedroom. Let's agree on how we want to do this, okay? Because I don't want us to create terrible human beings for our society. It's not evil people only that create terrible human beings for society. Sometimes it's because you don't know any better. Please don't tell yourself the story that I agree that it's grace of God, but please don't use that to disengage yourself from what you need to do, your duty and your responsibility. Don't do that. We have to be careful with these talking points. Okay? Check yourself when you're repeating talking points. What is this talking point doing to my mindset? Am I paying attention? Because the devil will use your blind spot against you all the time. For the boy to raise his voice and hands him, I hope he wasn't playing back to what his mom, he was doing exactly that. But it could be, but it's not necessarily intentional. Absolutely, they will test you. Yes. All right, so let me leave it at that for now. Let me round up. I thought I was going to do 2 hours. By the time that I started this story, let me see how many people are still on. Shout out to all 80 of you. You guys are awesome. Hit that like button. I'm missing 7 likes. Could make it 100%. Thank you so much. All right. We'll be back here tomorrow. We'll continue the conversations. Okay. This is something you have to remain a student of, emotional intelligence, particularly. Okay. It's not as simple as what you can see. Common sense is a terrible guide to relationships and life. Common sense will end you up in the mud, all the time. Okay? Why? Why is Ola coming up with his own talking point? Because we all have common sense. Are you going to argue with me I don't have common sense? I can't argue with you that you have common sense. But clearly we need more. There's more that we need to learn about this, and it has to be an ongoing thing. Okay? We need to talk about relationships from a power standpoint. If you're obsessed with fairness, you might end up in poto. You will end up collecting woto. Okay?
Continue.
Okay, ma. Right? You will end up collecting woto. Because when you're competing with your partner, a house divided against itself cannot stand. Right? Even when it's subconscious, even when you don't mean to. So you have to be self-aware that hold on 1 second. You have to be self-aware that your personality plays a big part in this. The way you were raised. You are abinibi okinshability. Nice, right? You know, the way you were raised, this social construct, a lot of those things you believe in, your belief system, is helping you shoot yourself on the leg sometimes. And you don't mean any harm. You're not trying to be evil. This is just how much you understand. You're just trying to do the right thing. You're trying to raise your kids, but you don't want your husband to be aggressive with your son. But you don't want your son to get spoiled. Gentlemen, you need lots of patience. If you notice that there's a disengagement, there's a division between you and your wife, the first step is to leave the boy alone and engage your wife and say, babe, let me talk to you in the bedroom. That's the only lesson you should take away from here today. If you didn't take away anything today, that's all you need today. All right? And without any further ado, see, now the comment is coming on the other side, so I have to look at it first. Bumi, stop it. Bumi, stop it. Stop it, Bumi. Right? Right? So let's be guided. Let's be guided. Let's keep coming back. Hopefully you've been enlightened and educated. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Make love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One loving up, we done enough.